What's happening right now between Washington and Ottawa is not a negotiation. It's a rupture. A relationship that operated quietly for nearly 70 years is breaking down in real time, and most people haven't realized how serious it is yet. This isn't about fighter jets, and it's not about tough political language. It's about power, leverage, and the moment Canada decided it would no longer automatically do what it was told. I'm Jonathan Blake, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through how a single demand triggered a chain reaction that's already costing the United States billions, and why this shift signals something much bigger than a defense dispute. Stay with me, because once you see how this unfolded step by step, you'll understand why the old rules are officially gone. Right now, what is happening between Washington and Ottawa does not look like a normal negotiation or friendly diplomacy. It looks more like a relationship falling apart. For almost 70 years, there was an unspoken agreement that everyone followed without question. The United States made the weapons and Canada bought them. Washington decided the terms and Ottawa paid the bills. It was never written into any law, but everyone understood how it worked. That was the deal, and that was the special relationship between the two countries. Then, in less than 2 days, that whole system fell apart. When Donald Trump tried to tighten his grip, he expected Canada to do what it had always done, which was to quietly give in, smile politely, and pay up. But instead, Canada rejected the whole arrangement. What happened after that sent shockwaves through the defense industry, worried the Pentagon, and caused urgent phone calls to the White House that are still going on right now. This is not some theory or just tough talk. This is a real change, and it is already costing the United States billions of dollars. So let us go through exactly what happened step by step, because once you see how it all played out, you will understand why this moment matters far beyond fighter jets, and why the time when Canada automatically did what it was told is officially over. It started on a Tuesday. Donald Trump was standing at a stage in Ohio doing what he does best, which is firing up his supporters. He was talking about strength, dominance, and allies who, in his words, take advantage of the United States. Then he turned his attention to the North. He pointed directly at Canada, not in a subtle way, not in a diplomatic way, but very openly. He said in simple terms that if Canada wanted to stay under America's protection, it needed to buy American military equipment and only American military equipment. No delays, no other choices, no excuses. He demanded that Canada immediately agree to buy a huge new batch of American-made fighter jets. He gave a price and a deadline. This was not presented as an offer or a partnership. It was presented as a threat. Buy our jets. Or maybe we rethink how much we protect you. Buy our jets. Or maybe new taxes on your goods suddenly appear. Buy our jets, or face the cons. Equances. In the past, this kind of pressure worked. A previous Canadian Prime Minister would have rushed to Washington to talk things over. They would have spoken about cooperation and promised to look into it and discuss it later. But that did not happen this time. Mark Carney, Canada's Prime Minister, did not respond at all. There was no press conference, no angry statement, no dramatic speech. Just silence. And while the cameras were all focused on Trump, something very different was quietly happening behind closed doors in Ottawa. Less than 6 hours after Trump's speech, the Prime Minister's office sent a quiet official order to the Department of National Defense. There was no announcement, no headlines, just paperwork. Canada did not sign the deal. Canada did not try to renegotiate the deal. Canada suspended the exclusivity clause. That sounds like boring technical language, but in reality, it was a declaration of independence. That one move meant Canada was no longer legally required to buy military equipment only from the United States. For the first time in decades, Canada's defense spending was officially open to anyone. That is when things got bigger. Within hours, reports started coming out that Canadian officials were seen meeting with European aerospace companies. These were not polite social visits or photo opportunities. They were there to talk about alternatives. France and Sweden, countries that build world-class fighter jets, were now in the conversation as competitors to the UNI. Ted states Trump's message had been, "Buy American or else." Carney's response was simpler. "We will shop somewhere else." This is the part that shocked Washington: the American defense. Industry had treated Canada like a guaranteed customer for generations. Contracts with Canada were just assumed. Financial forecasts were built around them. Entire supply chains depended on them. Trump tried to squeeze harder, and instead the entire relationship slipped right out of his hands. Heat, 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 as about reliability. Trump's aggressive words sent a dangerous signal to investors. American defense companies were now tied to political drama, and drama scares money away. Then came the second piece of proof, which was a leaked internal government document from Canada's supply chain department. This document laid out a new rule. Every dollar Canada spends on defense must create a dollar of benefit for Canadian industry. In plain language, if Canada buys jets, Canadian companies must get an equal share of the work and the money. Trump's demanded deal did not include that. It was simply cash for planes with no sharing of technology and no investment in Canadian industry. By putting this rule in place, Carney did not just say no. He made it legally impossible to say yes. And that is the brilliance of it. He did not raise his voice. He did not insult Trump. He did not start a war of words in the media. He used rules and paperwork as his shield. He tied his own hands so that no one could force them open. That is not weakness. That is high-level political defense. Then came the third piece of proof: flight records. Government planes were traveling repeatedly between Ottawa and important European capitals. There was a noticeable increase in high-level diplomatic activity with France and Sweden. Those countries were not chosen randomly. They build fighter jets that are capable of replacing American ones. And if Canada signs a deal with one of them, the consequences would be enormous. The jets themselves are just the start. After that come maintenance contracts, software updates, training programs, and specialized parts. That is tens of billions of dollars spread over decades. And suddenly all that money was looking for a new home. Then the fourth piece of proof made everything clear. Canada's technology and aerospace industry, which is usually quiet and careful, came out publicly. Leaders from artificial intelligence companies and advanced manufacturing firms openly supported Carney's decision. Why? Because Trump's America First policies often shut Canadian companies out of American defense contracts. Canadian firms are treated like outsiders. Carney's message to them was clear: if they lock us out, we will build what we need ourselves. He turned a military standoff into a rallying cry for Canadian industry, and Canadians responded. Polls showed something unexpected. People were not afraid. They were angry, and Carney was turning that anger into power. So why is this happening? Why is the most powerful person in the world losing a staring contest with his quiet neighbor? Because Trump is fighting a world that does not exist anymore. His strategy is simple: use pressure to get what you want, threaten taxes on imports, insult leaders, demand they do what you say. That worked decades ago. It does not work anymore. Countries have other choices now. When Trump threatened Mexico, Mexico started trading more with other countries. When he pressured Europe, Europe sped up its efforts to become militarily independent. Now Canada is doing the same thing. Every time Trump plays the threat card, it becomes less effective. And inside Washington, people know it. The Pentagon understands what this means. The United States and Canada share a continent. They share NORAD, which is the joint system that defends North American airspace. They share the defense of the Arctic. If Canada stops by in American military systems, the two countries' equipment will no longer work together smoothly. That is not just a business problem. That is a security nightmare. Trump thinks he is selling cars. He does not understand that he is selling unity and cooperation. And that cooperation is what keeps North America safe. Now compare that with Mark Carney. If Trump is a heavy hammer, Carney is a precise surgical tool. Carney is a man who ran the Bank of Canada and then the Bank of England. He understands money. He understands what motivates people and organizations. He does not fight based on emotion. He fights based on structure and systems. Carney knows that Trump needs quick victories, big headlines, and cheering crowds. Carney is playing the long game by opening up Canada's defense purchases to European competitors. He is buying insurance. He is telling the world that Canada is stable, predictable, and reasonable. In a chaotic world, money moves towards stability. And Carney is making an even smarter bet. He is betting that Trump's own financial supporters will turn against him. Defense companies have very powerful lobbyists, and when billions of dollars are at risk, those lobbyists do not stay quiet. Carney is waiting for that to happen. Now, here is why this matters to ordinary people. This is not just about jets. It is about prices. If Canada stops buying American military equipment, American factories lose business. When they lose business, they lay off workers. If Trump fights back with taxes on Canadian steel or aluminum, prices go up. Cars cost more, construction costs more, even beer gets more expensive. Supply chains are all connected to each other. If you shake one part, the whole system feels it. But if you look at the even bigger picture, it gets more worrying. This is American influence weakening in real time. When the United States treats its closest ally like an enemy, other countries, notice, Japan sees it, Germany sees it, South Korea sees it, being loyal to America no longer earns trust. It just brings bigger bills. And when you become a risk to deal with, people stop depending on you. There was one moment that perfectly captured all of this. A reporter shouted a question at Canada's defense minister after a meeting. The reporter asked, "Are you worried about how President Trump will react?" The minister did not stop walking. He adjusted his coat and said 5 words. "We are shopping, not begging." That sums up the entire shift. So, where does this go from here? There are 3 possible paths. The first is what you might call the Trump tantrum. He hits back with tariffs. Canada responds with its own measures. And things keep getting worse. Markets shake. Prices go up for everyone. The second path is the quiet retreat. The Pentagon steps in. Business executives step in. Trump offers Canada a better deal. If that happens, Carney wins because he got better terms by standing firm. The third path is a permanent break. Canada signs a deal with Europe. The agreement is finalized. There is no going back. And that is the dangerous one because this is not really about metal and engines. It is about who controls the future. Trump believes that force still works. Carney believes that strategy does. And Canada just showed the world that the United States is not the only option anymore.